Welcome, everyone, to Swing State Update Live. We are coming at you from Phoenix. My name is Jess Barshis, and I am joined with Tyler Bowyer and Austin Smith. Today, first off, we have a couple of things happening in Nevada, where we're actually just at in Las Vegas. First thing, presidential primary. That's going to happen tomorrow, but then there's also going to be a GOP presidential caucus on Thursday. So to kind of help us walk through that, why that's happening and what that's going to look like, we have special guest Shaden Garay. He is the Turning Point field representative out in Nevada. But before we bring him on, let's go ahead and play clip one.
But just remember, I did hear Nikki say, and now it's off to South Carolina. Well, I love South Carolina. I love it. But, you know, she forgot one thing. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week, it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won 100%. Because all of them, they looked at it and they took polls, and I was polling at 95% to 4 or 5%, and they decided not to play in Nevada. So we just.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring on Shaden. How's it going? Long time no see.
Shaden, how you doing?
We're doing good. How are you folks?
We're hanging in there. How are things looking in Nevada?
Things are ramping up for sure. That's an easy way to put it. With the caucus going on and all the confusion with the media, they're not helping us out. So we're really hanging in there.
Yeah, so go ahead and explain that a little further. Why is that happening? Why are we holding both primary tomorrow, and then also the GOP is hosting the caucus on Thursday?
Yeah, so actually, the caucus is nothing new to Nevada. Every major party has always caucused since about 1949, when the legislation was passed that political parties are allowed to throw their own, convention style or caucus in Nevada. But it wasn't since last year's legislation that was passed through the Nevada legislature that stated they wanted to throw a primary that is funded, by the taxpayer, and a primary that is going to be mass mail-in ballots, things that we do not support. So the media is trying to push that, but the Nevada Republican Party and Republicans and conservatives across the state are trying to show or tell people that the caucus is what we do. It's what we do as Republicans. It's what we do as American citizens in this state. This is nothing new, and you just have to, ride out the wave right now. The media isn't helping us out, but we are trying our best to let people know this is how it's always been. Republicans always caucus in Nevada.
So Shaden, the article that we're going to pull up, or if it was already pulled up from the Washington Post, the law says that they have to hold a primary. But the law also says that the parties can hold their own caucuses. And the parties, like we talked on this show before, are the ones who get to allocate, however many delegates it is to that nominee. What are you hearing on the ground right now between all of the caucus goers? I know you're going to be caucusing. Is it going to be a big turnout? Do you think there's going to be, since it's just like an internal party thing, do you think it's going to be like record-breaking for all of the, I believe, the precinct committeemen there showing up to caucus?
Yeah, so we're anticipating it's going to be a big turnout, especially with all of the confusion. The media has in some way helped us out a bit, even though the way they've gone about it isn't exactly how we were hoping they'd help us, but they are helping us because people, they're throwing it on the mainstream, right? And so now people are calling into the offices. We're getting messages. I'm getting calls and texts, and people are just wondering what the heck is going on. And so it's our job to kind of, clear the confusion. But I think people are really excited about it. when they realize why exactly Nevada Republicans caucus, then they are fully on board and people are completely in support of it, right? The caucus provides us all of the election integrity reform that we've been asking for on the federal level and from the government forever, right? No mass mail-in ballots, same-day election results, precinct-based voting, paper ballots, and voter ID. Everybody needs to provide a government issued ID in order to cast their vote at the caucus. This isn't something that the presidential preference primary run by the government is allowing or happening, right? I mean, there's no election integrity at all in this presidential preference primary. I have 2 ballots myself right here from this PPP, and I know a handful of other people who do. So to tell us that the election reform and election integrity is strong and nothing can go wrong in the PPP is absolutely not true. And the caucus is the way to go. It provides us all the integrity that we've been asking for.
What do you think how do you think Nikki Haley's going to do on the ballot or on the caucus ballot on Tuesday?
So there's a couple things that people are suggesting we do with the PPP ballots. The first thing is, thankfully, there's an option for none of the above. The GOP has been pushing for people to send it in as none of the above.
I heard none of the above is winning right now.
I would say it is too. When people, the amount of people that have asked me or the amount of people that have called in and said, well, now that I'm caucusing, what do I do with this? And they say, mark none of the above, or you can keep it. It's totally up to you, but none of the above is going to win.
So Shaden, someone was saying, I saw someone tweet this out. I might retweet this out again. Someone was saying that Nikki Haley may be the first person to lose both a primary and a caucus in the same state.
That's going to be true. And
in the same week.
In the same week.
Yeah, and everybody's saying that this is kind of strategic in a way, right? That she wants to claim that she won Nevada through the PPP and then go off to South Carolina and say, look at me, whoop-de-doo, I just won an individual race in the PPP that has absolutely no merit or bearing to it. And when she realizes tomorrow that, none of the above is going to beat her, I think maybe that's going to be a newsflash or a wake-up call to her and her campaign and all the donors that she's not suited for this and it's probably time to leave.
I think it's such a bad stain on Nikki Haley, her consultants, and her campaign that she's not even participating in the caucus, that she's not even going to give that head nod or just that respect to the grassroots, to the the committeemen there, that she's like, oh, no, I'm just going to participate in the election that the vast majority of Republicans, the grassroots, don't even want to participate in. They want to do the caucus. So sure, if you want to stay on the ballot for the PPE, that's fine. But you're not even participating in what the vast majority of heart and soul Republicans are doing. That is in my opinion, very disrespectful. And I think that's just the whole Haley campaign anyway. They already are going after Democrats to vote for her in the primary elections.
Right. So I guess that's a really good a positive to not having her on the ballot. Right. She's not paying anybody in the state of Nevada. So we're good with the data that we have. She's not messing us up there. But I also think it's important to note that President Trump isn't the only one that's going to be on the caucus ballot in Nevada. Ryan Binkley, the CEO and pastor from Texas, has been putting in more effort into this state for his little campaign than Nikki Haley has her entire run so far. He's been sending out mass texts to everybody. He's been caucusing or putting on meet and greets up here in Reno and down in Vegas. I mean, that's more effort and charisma that we've seen from his campaign than Nikki Haley. And we all know that, like President Trump said in the clip, he's going to win the caucus.
I also like how the party requires a $55,000 donation for the participation fee. That's huge. Investing back into those state parties also shows that you're serious about Nevada. You're serious about those people there. And I know that it prevents PACs and outside groups from also donating to it because they can't have any influence over, which is the way it should be, right? That we should have the candidates at the very grassroots level fight it out to who's going to be our nominee, and then we bank all of our money for the C4s and the PACs for the big fight in Nevada. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, and it was a very important point that the Nevada GOP had set in its rules when we were down in Winnemucca for the state meeting, that C4s and PACs will not have any influence in this. There is no dark money going on in this caucus. It's not rigged at all. The $55,000 is a drop in the bucket for all of these campaigns, and it's on par with all the other states that caucus as well. New Hampshire and Iowa, they charge practically almost the same. And when Republicans are also concerned about who's paying for this caucus, and we tell them it's not going to come out of first taxpayer money, right? We've already spent $5 million just to send out Republican ballots here for the PPP. Thankfully, we're not spending a dime on this presidential caucus because of the $55,000 that each campaign has invested into this caucus.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think Nikki Haley's and her team are gonna find some way to spin this as a victory, because every time she's lost, she claims it as a victory.
She's the actual. I got third place in Iowa, so I'm the actual winner. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're the second place loser.
They're gonna find a way to spin it. I mean, the girl renamed her husband because she liked his middle name better, so she just lives in kind of her own alternate reality out there. But we will see.
Yeah, she'll probably come in about fourth place here in Nevada, behind Trump, Binkley, none of the above. So I think she'll probably swing that in some way, right?
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how creative they can get with this one. It'll be exciting.
Yeah, their creative director is doing pretty well for a campaign.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shaden. Lots of really good insight on what's going to happen this week, and maybe we'll have you on back again after it all unfolds. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow and Thursday is when that is all going down.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. 5 o'clock Thursday, be in line.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna do this.
Okay.
Thanks, Shaden.
I just need to interject really fast, pause the show, and let everyone know that Tyler and I do coordinate our outfits before every recording, if anyone was wondering. So that is why we have matching
You're not wearing
outfits
velour,
today.
though.
Oh,
But
okay.
matching hats.
I get my clothes from Amazon. What
There
can
you
I
go.
say?
Same.
All right.
Well, cool. Great. Well, let's jump right into let's go to the clip. What do we have?
Yeah, we got clip 2. We have Mike Lindell talking about Robin Voss.
Good old Robin Voss up in Wisconsin. I got some information on this, so let's hit it.
Sweet.
Robin Voss has been the biggest blocker to this country's efforts to secure our elections there is. He's as bad as Crooked Brad Rassenberger down in Georgia. Nobody's worse than Robin Voss. You don't order an investigation of your state in an election. It's been a lot of money on it, 10 months, and all these investigators come out with the report, and you bury it. That's what Robin Voss did to Wisconsin and to our country. Shame on him. He's disgusting.
So I got some good information on this week. So I cornered the state party chairman of Wisconsin and the guy who's the national committeeman who's been there a long time and friends with a lot of politicians. And Brian Schimming is the state party chair. And not every conservative totally, takes this word. I haven't got the conservative response to this. But I went to him. I said, "Hey, people are starting to get really unruly about Robin Voss and him, blocking all this." And they said, "Whoa! It's not Robin Voss's fault. It's not Robin Voss's fault. Okay, Robin Voss wants to do the right thing. The issue's over in the Senate, and the Senate, much quieter, much fewer press conferences, is really the ones who are blocking progress there because Robin doesn't have the supermajority. The Senate does. And the Senate is not moving on this stuff."
Okay, so we've been talking about Robin Voss for a couple weeks now, right? The impeachment are trying to get rid of Megan Wolf, right? Mm-hmm. That didn't go anywhere. Flirting with ranked choice voting. Mm-hmm. Letting it go to committees and stuff like that. I just have a hard time believing that because he's been on the wrong side of a couple issues already. And that's why I have trust issues
So
with
the
Robin
state
Voss.
Senate president is Chris Kapenga. And the word that I got straight from the horse's mouth was that Robin Voss would do the right thing if the Senate would do the right thing. And the Senate are the ones that have the supermajority anyways. They have 22 Republicans and 10 Democrats. So that is the word on the street, is that if we can get the Senate to do what it's supposed to do, Chris Kapenga, who's from, let's see where he's from. He is from Delafield. I don't know where that's at. Delafield, Wisconsin.
Kapanga.
That's in Waukesha. It's
Oh,
outside
okay.
Waukesha. So I didn't run this down yet with conservatives to find out what the deal is with Kapenga, but that is.
So that's where the problem's at, they said?
That's what they said, that we need to run it down. So I plan on working with our guys to run this down. So Chris Kapenga. So if you're in Waukesha or around Waukesha, which is right outside Milwaukee, we need to put the heat on Chris Kapenga. And so we will be exploring that outside.
There's more than meets the eye.
Because the Senate is the ones, because they don't have a supermajority. So everyone keeps mispronouncing this, is that the state house has, let's see here. The state house, I think, is just short a couple of bodies. So the Republicans have 64. Oh, I thought they do. I think that is a supermajority, is it not? They were trying to tell me that, it's not. Oh, they don't. Because they need 67. So they're at 64. So they're 3 short of the 2/3.
Right.
So
But that's really close. That's really close.
It's really close, but but it's still not it. And so the conversation that everybody's having is, hey, you really need to turn your attention more towards the Senate, which I think is a good tip, right? If that's true, those that are listening that want to see things happen in Wisconsin a lot faster, Mr. Kapenga, Senate President Kapenga, seems to be the person that we need to turn our attention to, in addition to Robin Voss. But Robin Voss is taking a lot of lashings because he's always like in front of the microphone, always doing all this stuff. So that's the word.
So he should stop playing cover for the Senate president then.
Well, I think what's actually happening is that the state Senate is probably similar to like ours, where like a lot of ideas really start in the House.
Yeah.
Right? And the Senate
I get
is
that.
more of like the stamp of approval.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I actually think that a lot of these bad ideas are coming from Robin Voss and co. And then it's the opposite's happening, right? Where they're kind of like the Senate's kind of actually being more friendly and shutting a lot of that down.
Yeah.
Right? Which is actually good. That could be the opposite side of the story, which I think actually could be happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just pointing fingers at each other, going like, "No, it's them."
Spider-Man
no, it's
meme.
them." Yeah.
Well, Voss's response, we have it here. It said, just like when Democrats used these tactics a decade ago, recall elections are an extra expense to our local municipalities and should only be employed for the most extreme circumstances, not to settle political scores. Then he goes on to say the rally in Sturtevant, probably butchered that, but the one that Mike Lindell was at, is put on by out-of-state grifters from Minnesota, Texas, and Arkansas, leading an effort to remove me because they can't accept the results of the 2020 election. I'm confident the voters of Racine County agree and will reject their efforts.
Well, I will say, though, is the last primary, Robin Voss didn't win by very much. He did not win his primary this last time around.
If it would have been a little more effort, he probably would have got knocked off.
Yeah. And so he should probably also take his words very carefully.
Yeah.
Because there are legitimate concerns probably around Robin Voss of just his leadership, because there has been. I mean, Tyler has the information that they're talking about over in the Senate, but I do truly believe like Robin Voss is is not that great of a speaker. He's not that great of a leader. That just kind of shows you that he doesn't have the track record to. And I'm not saying Tyler's guys are lying, but at the same time, it's like he didn't come very close last time. He did come very close. And sometimes that means you're really not that good of a candidate, or the grassroots doesn't respect you that much. Same thing happened to a couple people here in Arizona who got elected that are not the most conservative. They only won by a couple hundred votes, and they still flirt with not doing a good job. You might get recalled. You might lose your primary. But this will be a developing story, I'm sure, in the next couple weeks, as everybody's back in session too. So,
I mean, if you just need to point to anything, you should see what he dressed up in on Election Day in 2020.
Robin Voss?
Yeah, it's literally on Wikipedia. It looks like a costume. It looks like someone making fun of people who dressed up as like COVID pandemic people.
It's on his Wikipedia page. I'm gonna go look it up really quick.
It's his main Wikipedia picture.
It's not the main one, but if you scroll down, you can see it. It's like him, like head to toe.
Stop!
He's like wearing like duct taped gloves to like an overcoat suit.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a mask over his mask.
A mask on the mask, or the face shield. The face shield one.
Jeez.
That's too bad.
Oh.
Not good.
Okay.
Developing story.
I just can't trust that guy is not the problem. When I see that picture, I look at that picture and I go, that guy is clearly the problem. You know what I mean?
Not somebody I'd vote for speaker. No, thank you.
Oh, you found it? Oh, you got pulled up. Zoom it. Can you guys zoom in a little bit more? It's probably really small on the screen.
That was like the Halloween costume.
It looks like a Halloween costume.
A couple years ago.
It looks like a joke.
Yeah.
This is the speaker. Anyways.
Oh, well.
Okay. Well, he also owns a popcorn company. So he sells
Fun
popcorn.
fact.
Very cool.
Very cool. Love popcorn.
Very cool, Robin. Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. There's more of him.
So Mike Lindell's not wrong. This guy is a problem. How much of a problem is he versus the Senate? That's TBD. We're gonna do our homework. We're gonna find out. So we're gonna sick our people on this, get some answers, and we're gonna come back to Swing State Update with some legit answers, because I know Jess is dying to find out. Is it Robin Voss? Is he the problem? Or is it the other dude over in the Senate?
I'm at the edge of my seat over
TBD.
here,
Look,
Tyler.
They're all in session right now. Somebody needs to step up and be a leader, or just not pointing fingers at one another. Kapinga. Senate President Kapinga.
This guy looks a lot nicer than Robin Voss.
Well, he better figure it out.
Let's find out.
Figure it out.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on from Robin Voss for now until we get further details, which I am awaiting patiently. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is continuing to try to get on the ballots in key target states. So he announced Tuesday that he had amassed enough signatures to qualify for the New Hampshire ballot for the general election after already getting on Utah's. It's drawing fresh concern from Democrats over how he could transform the race.
Yeah, and in a most recent poll too, it was very clear that he's polling almost an entire half of all independents to him.
Okay.
So there's like very little out of the independent category. So right now, Trump is actually winning most polling that's showing independents.
Oh.
So he's number one. I think the most recent I saw, he's up like 22 points. And then RFK's second and Joe Biden's third.
Okay.
So Joe Biden right now is polling third pretty consistently with all independents. This is huge because this is showing is that unless a ungodly amount of Republicans defect and vote for RFK, which I don't expect to happen, my theory was right and Jack Posobiec's was wrong, that RFK is actually going to pull significantly more Democrats and left-leaners to him than right-leaners. And we're actually seeing that. So the polling today, as it stands today, is showing that. Will it hold? I don't know. Will it depend on the state? Maybe.
Don't
right?
tell Jack this, but I agree with you on that one.
Well, we fought it out because we were on Thought Crime, which is every Thursday, And we like, this was like, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe almost a year ago. But we started arguing this, and they're like, no, he's taking from Trump. He's taking from Trump. I'm like, there's no way.
No.
There's no way. There's no way Trump voters and conservatives are going to vote for RFK over Trump. There's just no way.
He may be good on the vaccine issue, but that's not enough for that crossover. It's just not.
And this is really the point, which is that where we're losing most elections in most states is actually with left-leaning independents. And when I say left-leaning, I mean like you're talking millennials, right? Like a lot of people who are our age and younger are going, and Austin's, I'm like on the upper end of millennials. Austin's on the lower end of millennials.
I'm like middle.
We're like, and you're like right in the middle. So like our generation is like, that whole generation is going, wait a minute, I don't really want to vote for Trump, but I definitely don't like Biden.
And they probably didn't like Hillary Clinton either.
That's what all the polling is showing, right? And so having this third option in any state is really, really dangerous for Democrats. And so it says they're prioritizing Arizona, California, Georgia, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Texas, and he's already on in New Hampshire. So if they get on in Arizona and Georgia in particular, you're looking at really a real clear possibility that RFK is going to be a complete spoiler for Biden. Now, if he gets on in places like, again, Michigan, New Hampshire, even places like New Jersey, Connecticut, where it's like, could a Republican win with like a 10-point deficit that Biden has to start with?
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I'll have to look at New Jersey again. I think Trump lost by almost 20 points last time, but like, I mean, you start getting into the realm where it's like, it kind of makes sense where Trump is going, well, if RFK is on the ballot, do I actually have a shot?
No, and the Democrat operatives are freaking out about it. Michael Starr Hopkins, who's a consultant, and I've seen him on TV a couple times, he said, all the bull about no labels and third-party runs, RFK Jr.'s vanity project is an embarrassment to his family's legacy and a danger to voters. So they're a little scared. They wouldn't be saying that if the numbers didn't show that he's pulling a significant amount of voters away from Joe Biden. And they know that Trump's going to be the nominee. So they've got to get every...
Trump only lost by 16 points.
In what state again?
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey. Well, the spoiler theory of RFK, I've always believed is real. And it depends on each state, right? If you look at the facts and the actual data of independents or like party not designated in Arizona, I want to say about half and half. There's half that are liberal, there's half that are conservative. People who don't like either party. They don't like Trump, they don't like Biden, they didn't like Hillary Clinton. Maybe they liked Obama, or they just don't really care about the party, is what we talk about all the time. There's a significant amount of people in the country that just don't like either party. They just don't. Throw RFK into the mix. Some of those people that are like liberal independents that Tyler's talking about, I don't know how significant will jump over to him, but I think there'll be a good chunk that it's like, Biden sucks. We don't have any money.
Yeah.
Biden sucks. I don't have any more money.
Dude, Trump only lost by 7 points in New Hampshire in 2020. Totally winnable. He only lost by 9 points in Maine. Totally winnable. So, like, RFK in New Hampshire and Maine, which are like, again, Massachusetts' backyard, totally plausible that he could win.
Well, I also feel like, even liberals are getting tired of, the vaccine talking points, because that was,
It's not sexy.
No, but that's really the only thing that RFK Jr. leans a little bit more right on.
Yeah.
Everything else, I feel like he takes a very liberal stance on all these issues.
Oh,
so it's going to be
liberal.
the lesser evil between
He's extremely liberal.
him and Biden.
Part of it, yes, he's not Joe Biden. He's still very left on things. He's a liberal's liberal. Now it's just going to be vying for resources amongst those liberals, because he's got to get, I think for Arizona, Kennedy's got to get over 40,000 signatures to appear as an independent candidate. That's no easy task.
No.
That's a lot of signatures. That's a lot of human capital to go and collect signatures. So if he's on in like the battleground states, there'll be liberals who just don't like Joe Biden that are going to vote for him. Maybe. Now, the Democrats are much more, this is like how we talk about ranked choice voting in the jungle primaries. Democrats are much more disciplined when it comes to not splitting the vote compared to Republicans. On a national level, I don't know. We'll see. No Labels party is going to have a presidential candidate position in Arizona. It's like the only one that they're doing. That's all I care about. I want to see him get access in Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, along with other No Labels Party candidates for federal office. That would be great. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Sounds like we'll sign for for those.
Yeah.
Signatures. You can count us in on the Arizona at least.
I mean, but this is like really.
But if he's only polling at like 10 or 12 points in certain areas, but all that matters is if he gets ballot access.
Yeah.
They don't care where he's at on the numbers. Like if he gets ballot access, that's a game changer. Like, oh, he's not taking that many points. I'm like, at your own peril. That's your own peril.
These are the states to watch. If RFK gets on the ballot, the states that all of a sudden become in play, in my opinion, are first and foremost New Hampshire. Second, which we know he's on because that was the story, right?
Yeah.
He's on the ballot in New Hampshire. So
Utah and New Hampshire.
right away now, Democrats are going to have to spend money in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Second is Maine. So Maine, that was within 10 points. Trump lost by, so that we already know he's pulling ahead. So if he pulls a little bit ahead and RFK pulls a little bit out of the barrel here, that's winnable. Virginia was only an 11-point loss. That is now in play. So that's a big deal because, you know, if you have a lot of the rural Trump boost that shows up and Joe Biden's a little bit suppressed, again, that's only 11-point difference. That's, you know, Trump only lost by about 500,000 votes. You can totally see, you know, Trump losing very little and 500,000 votes going to RFK. So, I mean, this is like a real plausible situation now where now Democrats are freaking out going, what do we do in this scenario where RFK is making the ballot? We've got to make sure basically RFK makes the ballot, right?
He's got to just get 43,000 signatures in Arizona. That's the minimum. He'll have to get more than that for a buffer, for some cushion. But if he's on in Arizona, that's a big deal. And so the Democrat operatives that are Biden people, that's like I said, they're talking a lot of crap. They're like, he's only polling like at 10%. Really doesn't matter. If his name is on the ballot, that's half the battle right there, essentially for him. Because he's not going to spend $5 million on ad buys in Arizona. But if he gets on the ballot and he just keeps running the campaign it's going to make a big difference, like Tyler's talking about in those other states too. So another developing story.
Well, cool. Do we have the clip of Trump and what he said? What his commentary was on the RNC after our wonderful RNC experiences last week? Give a quick update. Let's pull that clip. I think we're clip 3, right?
Yeah.
Anna McDaniel doing?
I think she did great when she ran Michigan for me. I think she did okay initially in the RNC. I would say right now there'll probably be some changes made.
Some changes made. What does my national committee man say?
Well, as speaking, so I'll just give a quick recap. We had the final meeting on Friday, and everyone voted on the budget, which included $5 million worth of debt, a $10 million debt package that could potentially be tapped into. I wasn't a big fan of it. There was a lot of no votes that spoke up against the budget. I got up and asked for a very popular, essentially hand raise vote through division. So if those of you that know Robert's rules know this, I got up and it really ticked off a lot of the people who voted aye behind the budget package, and they ruled it out order, and then they prevented it from happening. So the frustration that exists when you have to deal with Robert's rules, it's a real thing. Learning Robert's rules, I went up and afterwards I tore Mr. Al Gage, that you know very well, a new one. I walked up to him and I said I thought it was despicable that they wouldn't, see a division vote.
That's disappointing.
Because there is a room full of guests and everything else that were in the audience that, could have aided the ayes. And I thought it deserved us to see it, but we didn't get it. And so there's a lot of people that are upset at the RNC, like we've talked about. We know this isn't new information. I think anytime that you see a poll come around, Rana polls usually about 90% at disapproval by people.
You guys should make that a rule next time. If you put it in the bylaws for the RNC, all votes on budgets have to be public.
Yeah,
like it should be public.
This should be individual votes.
Why? I mean, you do it for like your members of Congress who
Dude,
vote on the budget. Why wouldn't we want our RNC members to do that? That's crazy. I mean, I'm still floored. Like last week, I was just absolutely, Jess was here. I was absolutely floored on that spending. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me.
Yeah.
There's just no way you could ever legitimize. Like, how can you just say that that's okay? Like, yeah, we gave $70,000 for floral arrangements. So let's go into debt a little bit more to get us out. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, there's a lot of unpopular feelings towards Ronna, and yeah, I want to be super clear. Again, I totally disagree with the direction of the RNC. I think it should be a much more grassroots party. I think personal attacks on Ronna and things like that are not helpful to the cause. I think that there are some things that I can't get over, right? Which is like how the party's going, what we're kind of spending on. There's a lot of people losing their mind over this debt, especially when there's, like you pointed out in your tweet, I think I said this to someone else, that you pointed out your tweet that spending effectively hasn't gone down for all the goodies and the things like the overhead costs. But what has gone down is spending on election related spending.
Get out the vote texting.
Get out the vote texting, for example.
Transfers to state
parties. How we run Turning Point is if we lag, which we haven't, thank goodness over the last 10 years we keep growing. But if we did lag, during COVID, we would cut first the things that are necessary.
Right.
And the things that are necessary, which is like part of our programmatic stuff that we tell donors that we do, that's the stuff we know we have to get done. So, for me, it's like, we're just a different mentality, different culture in how we think. I think the culture at the RNC has to completely shift. I think in order to get that culture change, you need a completely new leader. And so far we don't have that. So, maybe I hope the president will come out and help facilitate new leadership. It sounds like he's looking to do that after South Carolina to see what the results of South Carolina look like. We just saw tweets come out today, or he posted on True Social, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but I can send it over to producer Sadie here. So
While Tyler's doing that, here's what the frustrating part is I'm glad the president's speaking now about this, but after 2022 there was such an uproar. I mean, we saw it at Turning Point Action. We saw it at our conferences. We saw it on social media. You saw it on traditional media, just conversations with many other conservative activists, is that the change should have happened right there, right? And Tyler and the crew that voted for Harmeet Dillon did the right thing. But now we're going to have to find, I don't know how that's going to work, Tyler, right? Like, do you guys have to have a new election? Does Ronna step down and then like the first vice chair becomes? I can answer that. So what happens? Like now we're behind, right?
Yeah, without sharing too much, because there's a lot there, moving pieces, and I think a lot of people are in the midst of this. Someone else pointed out that someone saw Ronna walk into Mar-a-Lago a few hours ago. So this is all in real time happening here. So she's in Mar-a-Lago. You're seeing this truth go up. Things are looking really great in the presidential race of 2024 against crooked Joe Biden. We have the leads in many cases substantial, and virtually every head-to-head poll. And that's
that's great.
Hopefully we'll head to South Carolina, finish off a very unpopular candidate, and then it says at the very end here, Michigan, he just randomly brings up Michigan. First time in decades it was won by a Republican, and it was headed up by my friend Ronna McDaniel. Ronna is now the head of the RNC, and I'll be making a decision the day after South Carolina as to my recommendations for RNC growth. So, I mean, he keeps teasing this from the clip that we saw, this truth they just put out, that he's going to put his recommendations out, which I think is going to be, hey, we got to make a change, and here's how we do it, and that's kind of the expectation. Now the question is like, who's going to replace? And to your point, what happens from there? Well, I think the RNC rules say that if the chair steps down, the co-chair takes over until a new election's held.
And that's not Tommy Hicks anymore.
It's not Tommy Hicks. It's a guy named Drew McKissick, who actually happens to be the chair of South Carolina. So, there's speculation that there's a couple of different people that are really gunning for the RNC chair job. You've got Drew McKissick, who is the current co-chair, who's the chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. And he's a good dude. He was supported by most of the conservatives last go around. So he ended up winning. He beat two other guys. The guy was the former state party chair in Indiana, and then the guy that was the state party chair in North Carolina. And the guy in North Carolina actually had Trump's endorsement, and he came in third place.
Oh, wow.
So that happened last summer. A lot of people believe that he's really interested in being the guy that for chair. So you got North Carolina versus South Carolina effectively combating it out for who wants to be chair. And then the question is who's co-chair. Well, the RNC, how it works is it has to, if there's a boy that's a chair, a man that's a chair, it has to be a female that's the co-chair.
I knew that. Mm-hmm.
And vice versa.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Ron is a female and the co-chair right now is a male. It has to be a male.
Right.
So if it's a male chair, then it has to be a female co-chair.
Right.
So then the question is like, well, then who? Like, who's going to be the girl? Who's going to be the lady in either one of those tandems? And so there's a lot of questions about that. So I think you're going to see some of those things kind of pop their heads up this next week of like who's like interested, and as the weather kind of heats up here a little bit and the stovetop heats up. But Rana being at Mar-a-Lago probably tells people that you've got some things in the works here.
So,
things are moving around.
Before we have to get out of here, a long time ago you mentioned, or I think you just told me this, when Republicans have the presidency, they can just pick the RNC chair, right?
So
when somebody's an incumbent president.
The tradition in the RNC
and
is
the 168 just
if
goes
the
with
president gets elected,
Yeah.
then he just picks, and the RNC just honors that. It's been the same way for I don't know how long.
Since like Reagan or something like that, or Nixon, way back then.
For a long, long time.
Okay.
So I don't know how long, but that is where the effort is right now. Is that if that's the reason why this is so important. Whoever becomes chair now will probably be in a better position. And that is
because they were given the nod by
right.
Trump. Okay. And you think, and so let's say Rana does step down, Trump wants somebody else. Think there's going to be any pushback from the 168 because it's Trump candidate? Like, what if it's somebody who sucks, unfortunately, or like the vast majority of conservatives don't like? Do you think there'll be pushback, or they just let it just go?
Yeah, I think this is why this is so important. If it's someone that conservatives don't like, this is going to look really bad.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, my advice is I think we need to have a chair, co-chair situation that just is like super amenable to the grassroots. Like, so we can just get through this election, support Trump, all that. It doesn't do Trump any service here. I think if the president says he wants somebody who is bad.
Right.
Because then people are just going to have like the same questions and like even get more angry. At this point, the campaign really takes over the RNC anyways.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, as long as you get somebody in there that's just like loyal to you and like what you're trying to do, like, I think you just go with that. Right. And stop and don't be cute with it. And don't try to like, throw a bone. We'll figure this out in January.
Yeah.
Let's win. Let's win in November.
And
let's
then
let the
get a new
campaign.
chair, right.
And then let's fight it out over like, who should run the RNC. I think right now it's just like my advice would be is if the president were in the room right now, I'd be like, Mr. President, like let's not get cute with this. Let's stick in some trustworthy conservatives. Like, and Drew's great. Like, by the way, like a lot of the conservatives really like Drew. Some South Carolinians would tell you, differently because some of the harder conservatives would tell you differently. But in general, he's been friendlier to the conservatives than most. But whoever it is like, again, my advice would be is like, let's get somebody in that we can trust, but then also the grassroots trust, so we could just focus on winning the election. Yeah. Right. Like the campaign really runs everything anyways. Together with the RNC, let's just stick with that. Make our way through. Make sure that there's a voice, and let's just like not have this distraction of everybody hating the RNC be a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the suggestions that it should be DTJ?
What do you mean?
The suggestion.
Oh, Donald Trump Jr.?
Yeah.
Oh,
chair.
yeah. I think Charlie said that from stage at our event. I don't think Don wants to do that. I honestly don't think any of the Trump kids want to do that. They're already getting used and abused as much as it's going to be for the campaign.
Yeah.
And I actually think it does take something off the table for the campaign purposes. Like, you can make the argument.
He's a great surrogate for his dad, and like he won't be able to do all that.
He can't say the same things.
Right, when he's RNC chair.
When he's the RNC chair.
Yeah.
And
True.
honestly, like the RNC chair job should just be someone that's like grassroots oriented, kind of boring.
He's gonna raise some money for lawfare.
Raise some money, like talks to everybody, like
goes on Fox,
does their job. Honestly, you know who I like a lot? The chairwoman of Delaware. Have you seen this woman?
Mm-hmm. I met her before.
Julianne Murray. You met her. She was on the show. We had her on the
podcast.
show. We had her on the podcast.
Fest. Yeah, she's great.
Julianne Murray she's the one that stuck it to Hunter Biden in the lawsuit.
Yeah.
She's the reason why Hunter Biden is like under severe water.
And the mail-in vote ballots. Like,
and she
that's big time.
the expansion of mail-in voting in Delaware.
Yeah.
Which they were it's a Democrat state. It's a blue-run state.
It's Biden's home state, right?
She won the battle to expand mail-in voting in Delaware.
Mm-hmm. She stopped it. She stopped it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's massive.
She's like an axe wielder.
Yeah.
Like
big.
You can't find a woman more,
and you want
a female
that in your
and
party
I say
chairs.
woman not because I'm referring to her as a woman, but you need a man and a woman tandem at the RNC, right? So you need a man for a chair and a woman co-chair, or a woman chair and a man co-chair. As a female component, like I don't think people could be any happier than with Julianne Murray, the chair of the Delaware Republican Party. And again, remember, she only lost her race for AG in Delaware by a few thousand votes. Mm-hmm. And she knows more about the Biden crime syndicate than any person within the RNC. So if we're running against Joe Biden, which hopefully we still are, this November.
Sounds like
but if we are, how cool would it be to have a chair of the RNC who knows the Biden family inside and out and has personally gone after Hunter Biden.
Psychological warfare.
She could go on every morning show, every talk show, everything, and talk for hours about what she knows about Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm. And that she's been successful.
Why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah,
that is awesome. Success. Yeah,
I like her.
Awesome.
I like her a lot.
She's so cool too.
She's a very cool woman. Very cool cat. Well, and today as we kind of transition out of here, we held our first training with Chase the Vote managers today.
It's
pretty cool. So we got our teams all building up for Chase the Vote.
Yeah.
tpaction.com/chase. If you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, and you live in Arizona, and you live in Wisconsin, we need you to be full-time ballot chasers for us. We are hiring hundreds of people in Maricopa County, hundreds of people in Milwaukee County and Waukesha County, everywhere right there along the Great Lakes where we have identified chaseable ballots. I was just having a conversation today with another Republican down at the legislature, and he was like, Austin, what are we going to do about this election, man? We're just getting our clock cleaned. The left keeps getting further and further left, and they're still winning these elections. I was like, it's because they're chasing ballots. Mm-hmm. It's because they're going after low-propensity Democrats. Did you know we have more registered Republicans in Arizona than we do Democrats?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is low-hanging fruit for us, guys.
Yep.
We need you to apply to be a ballot chaser in Arizona. We're going to have hundreds of locations across the valley. If you're in the West Valley, the East Valley, North Phoenix, if you're in the Scottsdale area, if you're in Chandler, you're in Gilbert, you're in Mesa, you're in Surprise, you're in Buckeye. We have a spot for you. We have a job for you, a full-time position with us at Turning Point Action. So go to tpaction.com/chase. The other aspect that's so cool about, we were talking about this today and we went over and saw the new materials that our team is going to have on the legacy field side of our banners and our, what do you want to call it? All our cool stuff that we set up for our Super Chase events like we do in Super Saturdays. But that's where our coalitions come in. Mm-hmm. We're going to be having multiple Super Chase events this next year for the primary and the general elections with our coalitions. If you're a mom and you're concerned about the future of our country and the direction, if you're an educator and you're tired of CRT, if you're a farmer and you're a rancher and you're scared about the government coming in with climate change, if you're somebody who's concerned about, the faith direction in our country, we have a coalition for you at Turning Point Action. Our coalitions at Turning Point Action, these are long-term groups to help win this country back. We've got to have thousands of moms in Maricopa County who are just dedicated to having relationships with other moms, going to coffee, having cookies, kids going on a play date together, talking about the issues, mobilizing those moms to win on election
Oh, when
day.
I become a mom, that's my coalition for sure.
Yeah.
The coffees, the play dates.
TPAction.com/coalitions. We were talking about that. We need to keep highlighting our moms one because
Yeah.
in Arizona, that's going to be huge. And our moms
sure.
coalition, I think, is our biggest one because there's so many families that live in Arizona, so many moms in Maricopa County. So the moms that are listening to this show right now, if you live in Arizona, you live in Phoenix, in the West Valley, the East Valley, TPAction.com/coalitions. Go get signed up with our moms, our moms for Trump, our moms for Turning Point Action. I love it.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, our coalition are so important because we are in the midst of recruiting the bodies that we need in order to do the ballot chasing. So I don't know if you saw, you took a picture of some of our setups.
Yeah.
We might as well throw this up. Do you have that picture on your phone?
On my phone.
Send it to Sadie, see if she can throw this up real quick. So a lot of people don't even know or realize the last 2 election cycles, we kind of perfected the Super Saturday model.
Yes, we did.
So we really went after our team, and we have really the best team in America. We have dozens of full-time field staffers that are in the key critical states. And what we've done, we've taught people how to build these Super Saturdays.
Yep.
And we build them with perfection. We go to a park, we rally dozens of people, if not hundreds of people together. We make sure that they have all the materials, the walk books, everything they need, and then we send people out. We get
raw, but we get rah-rahed up a little bit about what we got to do.
I'm so excited about this. So what you're seeing on your screen, so if you're watching, I'll describe it for those that are listening on podcast, but if you're watching, we just ordered all new setups for our Turning Point Action Super Chase events that are going to be happening, debuting this summer. So this summer, instead of doing just Super Saturdays, we've now changed them to Super Chase events, which means that we're going to be going out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Probably leave off Sunday. We'll give everybody the Lord's Day for a break, but we have custom tents, custom everything that's going to go out so that we can actually do these big, effective events all in parks across America and the key target states.
Yep, and target precincts.
So
right?
every single, if you're seeing this at home, if you're watching this, every single one of our full-time reps will have one of these. We can work together with county chairs. We can work together with other outside organizations to help host these events. So all you have to do is show up. You just have to get people there, and we'll send people out to go chase ballots when the time comes. So we're so excited about that.
It's really cool. We've come a long way.
It's a long, long way.
That's
I'll
awesome.
be attending.
So we're excited for it. So
we will have a lot of super chases this summer in the county. So
absolutely
we have to be there. It's going to be hot.
yeah.
It's going to be hot, so we have the shade, and we always bring water too, and sometimes a snack for people.
Yeah.
We go all out.
Yeah, the cold waters, the fans that have the water squirting out of it.
Yeah.
I know how to do a hot day in Arizona, so I'll be prepared.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us if you're here with us live. Otherwise, any other final thoughts, guys?
No.
No? We covered it all.
TPAction.com/chase.
Yep.
Get signed up to chase ballots or come work for us and be a full-time ballot chaser.
All right. We will see you guys on Friday.
Thanks, guys.